Hey, future weapon enthusiasts, Nick Young here, CEO of Desert Tech. I'm here to tell you the story behind the development of our HTI rifle, this hard target interdiction rifle you see here before me. So the idea for this rifle was actually a request made by the Georgian military. You see, when we started producing the SRS, then they purchased the first several batches of our SRS rifle. And after they started using the rifle, they made a request to us to actually create a monopod for the SRS. And so I really was reluctant to do that, and I didn't really like monopods. I hated how they really were just kind of like a big giant knob hanging off the gun that was really slow to adjust and deploy, and I really just hated monopods. But they told me, they says, if you don't make us a monopod, then we're not going to buy any more SRS rifles. So I was like, okay, if we're going to make a monopod, I want to make it the way I want it, and I wanted to resolve the problems that existed with current monopods. And so the two criteria that I wanted was, when it wasn't being used, I didn't want it to protrude from the gun and add this big clunky object to the rifle. The second one was, I wanted it to actually be fast to deploy and stable. I didn't want to sit there and have to monkey with this scene for several minutes before it was stable on target. So this is the resulting monopod that we made. It has a two-part adjustment system. One is the course adjustment. So you push down on this thumb wheel right here, and you can see that when the monopod is not deployed, it actually is flush with the bottom of the rifle, and it's not this ginormous like adjustable thing on the bottom. So the first type of adjustment is the course adjustment. So when you're actually aiming on target and you can get your crosshair right on target, well, you actually just shove down on this knurled thumb wheel and it ejects the ground spike under spring tension. And then you can rotate the thumb wheel left and right, and that will actually adjust your height up and down. So this monopod was extremely fast to use, very stable. Our customers have since coined it the cheater pod because it's so easy to deploy and be stable with. Now, you can actually set up the monopod and let the rifle sit there and let another shooter get on the rifle, and it actually stays right on target. Or you can actually fire the rifle with nobody behind the gun and still hit the target. So very cool monopod design that we ended up creating. So after we made this monopod, you might say, well, how does that relate to the HTI rifle? Well, they had at the time TAC 50s from Macmillan was their 50 cals that they were running. And they asked us, they says, will you modify our TAC 50 stocks to incorporate your monopod in our TAC 50s? So we did that. We drilled a hole in the stock, and we had an aluminum adapter that had the monopod in it. And they loved the monopod, but quite frankly, they weren't so much in love with the TAC 50 size and weight and everything in balance. So they asked us, they says, will you please design a 50 cal based on the design of your SRS? We want something that's small, lightweight, and portable like the SRS, rather than this super long 50 cal that they're running now. So we told them we would, and I was actually really excited, and we honestly had plans to design the 50 cal already. So having a customer ready to buy this, chomping at the bit, was kind of a no-brainer that it's time to execute this project. So we started designing the HTI. Now, I didn't want it to just be a 50 cal because I was pretty excited about the 375 CheyTac cartridge. Before I started Desert Tech, then I did a training course with the CheyTac team. It was probably 3 years after they came out with their 408 cartridge. And they showed me in this training course the first 375 CheyTac cartridge and rifle. And in this course, it was an extreme distance course. I mean, the closest target was like pretty much 800 yards, and the furthest target was like 2,700 yards. But I got a chance to shoot their 375 CheyTac. And we shot it at 2,650 yards on a steel plate that was about yay wide and yay tall. And I was able to hit the thing like 5 times in a row. It was really easy. And it kind of knocked my socks off, quite frankly, because I've shot up to that point in time, I've shot .338 Lapua for about 10 years. And I've shot it to 2,000 yards and beyond on a regular basis. So I understood very clearly how difficult it is to routinely hit a plate that size at 2,600 yards. But the 375 Chi-Tac was doing it like, essentially like a 338 Lapua does it at 1,500 yards. So that was awesome to me. And so after I did that, I actually wanted to make the original SRS in 375 Chi-Tac. But the cartridge was, not going to, it wasn't as available, and there wasn't as much interest in that extreme distance cartridge, so I elected to cut it back down to the 338 Lapua in the SRS platform because I wanted to be able to make it economically feasible and be able to sell enough rifles to get off the ground. But with the 50 cal, that was a different story. So if we're going to do a 50 cal, the chassis is obviously big enough to put that 375 Chi-Tac in here, and so that's what we did. And we also incorporated the 408 Chi-Tac and the 416 Barrett in this chassis, and this really is the only multi-caliber big bore rifle that I'm aware of. Some of you may know of others, and you can you can enlighten us in the comments. The features that make this HTI rifle really unique are first the mobility. You have a bullpup rifle with a 29-inch barrel giving you full power, velocity, and range, but it's 14 inches shorter than the M82 Barrett that the Army is using. The second mobility feature is the weight. So this thing weighs 20 pounds naked, so 19 to 20 pounds naked. So when you do it up with all the accessories, you're 23, 24 pounds, which is only about 4 pounds heavier than their standard MRAD rifle that they're running now. And that makes this 14 pounds lighter than the M82A1 Barrett. So extremely mobile. One man can carry this around. They can actually do some positional shooting with this. The Barrett M82 is two-man portable, which means you have to break it into two pieces, put it in two different backpacks on two different people to transport the thing. And then it really isn't a positional shooting rifle because of the weight and the size is just too much for a person to be able to effectively do those things. The second key feature is the accuracy. So this has a stationary barrel and utilizes the precision barrel mounting system that our SRS uses, which gives us extreme accuracy at extreme distances. The furthest I've shot the 375 Chi-Tac myself is 3,080 yards. And at that distance, I was able to achieve an 18-inch vertical group for about, I think it was 6 to 8 shots. I don't remember the amount of shots. I'll post a picture to let you see. But the width of that group was maybe 3 feet or 2.5 feet. And that width is just from the wind. So extremely accurate. Now the Barrett M82A1 has a recoiling barrel, which is not conducive to accuracy because the barrel is just floating around in the receiver. That recoiling barrel does help with the recoil on the 50 cal. So when we're shooting the 50 cal on this, our stationary barrel mount does have increased recoil, and it feels a lot like shooting a 12 gauge shotgun with some heavy slugs when you shoot our 50 cal. But when you shoot the 375 Chi-Tac, especially when you have a silencer on there, the recoil is nothing, and you can actually self-spot your round through the scope. It pretty much doesn't even come off target. It is extremely stable, very easy, very fun to shoot. The next key benefit is its multi-caliber capability. Being able to have a big bore system that can easily change between a 50 caliber, a 375 Chi-Tac, a 408 Chi-Tac, a 416 Barrett in less than 60 seconds by the operator is unheard of. I don't know of another big bore system that has this multi-caliber capability like ours does. So very flexible, and it has become, the HTI has become extremely popular in the King of 2 Mile crowd for that reason. They love the modularity. They actually will buy our gunsmith kit where it gets a barrel extension, a bolt, and a barrel print, and then they spin up whatever barrel and caliber they want. Some guys got like 45-inch barrels sticking out of this thing to push that bullet as fast as they can in the 2,000 plus competition shooting. But yeah, so we designed the rifle, and Georgia wanted the rifles. However, when we finally had it done and we started to be ready to ship these, we filed for licenses to export these to Georgia, and the Obama administration instated an unofficial embargo, which essentially meant that they embargoed them, but they didn't want the publicity to leak that they did that. And so they sat on their licenses for like 2.5 years and didn't approve any defense exports to Georgia during that period of time. So unfortunately, they wanted the rifle. We couldn't deliver the rifle to them, but we were able to get a lot of interest all across the world for this thing. We have snipers in Ukraine running these, Czech Republic, Lithuania, UAE, and a dozen other international companies or their sniper teams are running these. And a large majority of those sniper teams are actually running the 375 CheyTac rather than the 50 cal, because they can appreciate the superior trajectory of that 375 and the reduced recoil of that 375 cartridge. The way that we have this rifle set up today utilizes a Collis 6-24 scope with our custom AMR reticle inside of there that we designed and they sell. A Elite Iron over the barrel bipod. I like this bipod a lot because it actually pivots at the center bore. And it's sporting a 375 CheyTac conversion kit inside of it right now. And this is our 50 caliber conversion kit. You have your barrel, your bolt, and your magazine. You can see between the different magazines, this is a 50 cal, this is a 375. We just changed the length of the magazine to accommodate the shorter cartridges. But this magazine will work with 416 Barrett, 50 cal. This magazine will work with both CheyTac cartridges. So in the end, the HTI rifle was developed for the Georgian military's request. Unfortunately, we were not able to deliver them to Georgia due to the unofficial embargo that was instated. However, the HTI is in widespread use throughout Europe and Asia and the Middle East and is seeing a lot of success. It's also extremely popular in the long distance and extreme long distance crowd and the king of 2 mile shooters and such. If you guys have any questions about the HTI or its capabilities, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Make sure you like this video and subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video where I give the behind the scenes story of how we developed our own line of ammunition. Thanks for watching. Have Terry call where it is. Your window. A little more wind. Favoring left. Hold a half mil left from where he was. Half mil left. Send it. Wind died down. Dead on.
One heck of a group from that far.
So there's our through hit on the 50 cal right there in the window frame, and then right there in the window went through this headrest right there, and then one hit through the top of the truck and they exited out.